Hi guys, today we're gonna make a paper pillow, and it's the first lesson I usually have when we learn sewing. So here's thread, here's my needle, and my needle is always on a pin cushion because the needles are so small that if they fall on the ground, they will get lost. So always put your needle on a pin cushion when not in use. Another way that I also save my needles is to put it in the thread. Okay, so let's get started. You're gonna need a little bit of thread to get started, and I would say like 2 rulers length, and we're gonna use a scissor to cut the thread. And my mom, when she taught me how to sew, we just put this thread in our mouth to make sure that all the tiny thread pieces are nice and together. So I'm gonna do that right now. There we go. I know it's silly, but that's what we do. Okay, now this is the thread, the needle, and the needle has a hole in it. I don't know if you could see. There you go. You can see it now. And that is called the eye of the needle. And we are going to put the thread in the eye of the needle. And it's a little difficult sometimes, but it takes practice. And we are almost there. Almost. There we go. So now the thread is through the eye of the needle. I'm gonna show you. You see? There we go. And now one thread is shorter than the other, and you're gonna pull the short one until it's the same length as the long one. So keep pulling. Oops, let's see. Until they are the same length. I'm gonna keep pulling. There we go. We have both strings are now the same length. You can see right here. Okay, now we're gonna take both ends of the string and we are going to make a knot. And if you don't make a knot, here is our pretend pillow. If you don't make a knot and you're trying to sew, let me show you what happens. So I'm gonna try to sew these two together, and I didn't make a knot, and what's going on? You notice what happened? Nothing's happening. Basically, nothing can happen because you didn't make a knot. Now let me see, once we make a knot, and the way that you make a knot is you wet your finger. I'm gonna wet my finger with my mouth again, and we are going to wrap this end on both sides. You see, I'm gonna take this hand and wrap the thread a couple of times, and then I'm gonna use my thumb to roll that thread off of my hand. Do you notice what happened? There's like a big old mess right here. And then we're gonna take a pincher finger and pull down, and there, my friends, you have a knot. So let's see what happens now when we sew with a knot. We're gonna sew. Wow, it stopped. So now we can sew. We're gonna go right next door, make another stitch, right next door, and make another stitch. Right next door, make another stitch. Notice the stitches. Now we made 1, 2, 3 stitches. We're gonna keep going. And remember what we're making today? Well, what are we making? Yes, we're making a paper pillow. And once you know how to make a paper pillow, you can make a real one. So we're gonna keep going around. And always come in bottom and then pull from the top. In from the bottom, pull from the top. In from the bottom, pull from the top. Now, I don't know if you're noticing, but the string is getting shorter because it's getting used up. So let's keep going. In from the bottom, pull from the top. In from the bottom, pull from the top. Now, look how much string I have left. When you have about this much string, it's time to knot it. And I'll show you how to do that in a second, because you cannot let it get too short. There we go. A little, maybe 2 more stitches. There, we're done. Okay, now it's about the size of my palm right here, and it's time to make a knot. And we're gonna make a knot because otherwise, if we don't make a knot, it will unravel. So we have to make a knot before we refill our thread into the needle. So the way you make a knot is you pretend like you're gonna sew, and then before you pull tight, you will see a loop, and you will put your needle through that loop and then pull tight, and it just made a knot. And if you want to double knot it, it might be better. You're gonna pretend like you're sewing. Before you pull it tight, you're gonna find the loop, put your needle through it, and pull. And that is a double knot. Excellent. And we're gonna cut it off. And this extra string is now trash, and we have to finish off our pillow. So we're gonna get a little bit more string. Remember, about 2 rulers width. Like if you don't have to measure it, by the way, okay? And I'm gonna wet the end of my string. It's kind of like putting gel on your hair. And we are going to thread this needle. We just put the thread through the eye of the needle. And remember how we do this? This is the short end and this is the long end. We're gonna keep pulling until both strings are the same length. I don't know if you can see there now. Here, this is better. Now there's 2 strings and they're the same length. And remember how we knot it with our fingers? So I'm gonna wet my finger, and I'm gonna use this helper hand to wrap the end around my finger, and then I'm gonna use my thumb to push the string off my finger in a very messy way. And then I'm gonna use my pinching finger to come down. There we go. We have our beautiful knot, and we're ready to move on. And we're gonna start where we left off. And in from the bottom, out from the top. In from the bottom, out from the top. In from the bottom, out from the top. Now, notice we're almost done, but since we said we're doing a pillow, once it looks like a pocket and it has a 3 sides that are done, we are going to use this pretend paper stuffing to fill in our pillow. So there you go. We're going to just fill it in. Be careful not to get your needle and thread all messed up in there. Okay, that's enough. It's just a symbolic thing we're doing anyway at this point. There we go. And now we are going to close it off once we have the stuffing. We're going to start with the in, out, in, out. Hopefully we have enough string to finish this. There. Almost. And remember, when the string is about this length, we need to knot it. So we're gonna actually cheat a little bit because we only have like seriously 1 stitch left, and I think we can handle it. There. So remember how to knot it at the end too. You need to knot it at the beginning and at the end. So we're gonna go through, act like you're sewing. Before you pull tight, there's gonna be a loop, you see? And you're gonna stick the needle into that loop. There, we're almost out of space. And notice we're gonna pull tight, and that is a knot. We're gonna cut it, and you remember where to put the needle? Yes, you put it in the pin cushion so that it won't get lost. And here we have our pillow. Woohoo! Excellent. So I hope this has helped you learn how to thread a needle, make a knot, both before and after finish sewing. and just some basics about making a pillow. Have fun.